If you ever want to know what real freedom tastes like, move to the mountains. Just don't be surprised if someone tries to put a price tag on the air you breathe. I say that now because the first thing that ever truly shocked me wasn't the cold up here, or the silence, or the view it was getting chased by a homeowners association I never signed up for. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Stick around, it gets weirder. I grew up elbow to elbow with tech bros in Austin, eating takeout on the balcony, while someone below tried to sell condos by calling privacy a negotiable feature. 15 years of that was plenty. So I cashed out, drove north, bought 3 acres outside Aspen Trails, Colorado, and built the cabin I'd been sketching on napkins since architecture school. I wanted trees and wind and my own rules, or honestly, no rules at all. No fences, no neighbors close enough to see if I was in my pajamas at noon. I built everything woodstone, hand dug my well, ran my own line for power. My closest companion was Cisco, my dog, and a couple million bees in the orchard. For 4 years it was quiet. I wrote, I chopped wood, I brewed mead in the shed. I watched storms roll in with a mug in one hand, shotgun over the shoulder, just in case a mountain lion got curious. The kind of life that makes you forget other people even exist. Then came the letter. I remember because it was a Tuesday grocery day, propane day. Nothing special. White envelope, heavy paper from the Aspen Trails Homeowners Association. I nearly tossed it in the burn pile with the junk mail, but something about the heft made me open it. 3 pages single-spaced, accusing me of being delinquent on HOA dues. $7, $865 plus interest. I actually laughed out loud. My dog looked at me like I was nuts. I bought this land because it wasn't in the HOA. I had the deed, the legal survey. I built my own road, for crying out loud. I even ran my own power solar and a little generator. No shared lines, no community anything. Still, I called the number on the letter. No answer. Next day I tried again. Voicemail. I left a calm message. There's been a mistake. Please check your records. I don't belong to your HOA. Next week, another letter, this time with final notice in red across the top. I was half amused, half annoyed, until 3 days later I heard tires crunching up my gravel driveway. My driveway is almost a quarter-mile long, mind you. Nobody comes up unless they're lost or they mean business. A silver SUV crawled up the hill like it owned the place. Out steps this woman in a tailored suit, hair too platinum to be real sunglasses that probably cost more than my truck. "Mr. Miller," she said, scanning me like I was something she'd found in her attic. "I'm Linda Barrett, president of the Aspen Trails Homeowners Association." She said it like she expected applause. "We need to talk about your outstanding dues." I crossed my arms. "Ma'am, I bought this place to avoid the HOA. I'm not a member. That's the whole point." She smiled tight and sharp. "Our revised development map, ratified 2 years ago, now includes your parcel. You've been benefiting from our community without contributing." I laughed again, but she didn't even flinch. "Ma'am, I built my own well, my own power, my own road. Never used a thing from Aspen Trails." She raised an eyebrow. "Well, water flows downhill and so do responsibilities. We can't have rogue properties undermining the cohesion of our community." I offered her my deed printed and ready for nonsense like this. She didn't even look at it. "You'll want to settle this voluntarily. Non-compliance can get messy." She turned and drove off like she'd won. My dog growled at her tire tracks. I stared after her, irritation buzzing in my skin. Next morning, a white SUV parked at the edge of my tree line. Guy in a vest and clipboard taking notes, snapping pictures. "You lost," I called out. "Mr. Miller, I'm with the HOA Compliance Division." As if that was a real government job. "Visual Property Survey." I told him to turn around. He scribbled something down and scurried off a GoPro on his dash, blinking as he went. That afternoon, another envelope itemized list of violations. Exterior color, not approved, natural growth neglect. aka my wildflowers, unauthorized signage, a wooden plank that said, "If you weren't invited, turn back, unauthorized structure near water source, my spring house for chilling mead." Revised invoice, $9, $420, including infrastructure I'd never seen or used. By Friday, 4 different cars had driven by. Some parked, some just crept by, taking pictures of my house, my dog, even my bees. One woman rolled down her window to film my dog barking. I started carrying my own camera just in case. Then came the online chatter. Tom, the ex-Marine who keeps to himself in town, texted me, "Heads up, you're the star in the HOA Facebook group. They're calling you a squatter with a gun compound." He sent screenshots. My name, my address, roadside photos, comments like refuses to follow safety standards, possible threat, mooching off resources. Linda herself posted, "We're following the law. But if residents want to hold a peaceful demonstration, that's their right." That night, Tom showed up at my door with a 6-pack and a warning. They're planning a show of force, not violence, but intimidation. Marching up here with signs, cameras. They want to paint you like a nut job so the county or sheriff steps in. I cracked a beer and asked, "She really thinks this'll make me pay?" Tom shook his head. "It's not about the dues. It's about control. She wants to break you." He looked tired. "I did 3 tours where mobs form quicker than logic. This same flavor, just more expensive shoes." I nodded. "Well, then I'll pressure back." Next morning, I set up trail cams, posted no trespassing signs, and mounted my deed laminated right next to the mailbox. I called a lawyer. Susan Elliott, sharp as a tack, told me, "Sounds like you've got a hungry HOA. I'll be up Monday." That weekend, things got weirder. An old guy in a sweater vest parked outside my property and stared at the spring house for 15 minutes, never got out, never took a picture, just watched. Sunday morning, a flyer in a plastic bag in my driveway. Is one man's defiance worth the stagnation of our entire community? Blurry drone shot of my cabin coordinates included. Monday dawned too quiet. I pulled open the blinds to see a line of people at the foot of my drive. Maybe 100. Signs. Pay your share. No free riders. HOA vests. T-shirts. Dead center. Linda Barrett, bullhorn in hand, glowing with purpose. I stepped onto the porch, coffee in hand, and called the sheriff. "So it's a protest on your land?" the dispatcher asked. "No, they're at the edge. Give it 10 minutes and they'll cross." 35 minutes later, 2 young deputies pulled up. Linda was in full performance mode. "This man has lived off our community for 4 years without contributing a cent that ends now. Cheers." People recording me shouting. Someone threw a water bottle landed 10 feet from my porch. I called the sheriff again, skipped the pleasantries. When the deputies finally walked up, I pointed with my coffee mug, neighborhood lynch mob HOA sponsored. "They're saying I owe dues for a community I never joined." "Are they on your land?" "Not yet." A protester stepped forward waving a folded paper. "This is a notice of community arbitration. Article 9, Section B, failure to comply triggers default enrollment." The deputy took my deed, read it, turned to the crowd. "Unless you can prove jurisdiction, this gathering stays peaceful or gets shut down." Linda stormed up waving documents. The deputy shut her down. "Until a court recognizes that inclusion, this land is private." That's when the truth slipped out. A guy in a visor yelled, "He's holding up the new park plan. Without his lot, we can't extend the bike path." That's what it was about. The water, the land, not the dues. Tom found me afterward, handed me another anonymous flyer. "He owns the water. We pay the price." My spring house circled in red. It was on. Susan came up that Monday, set up at my kitchen table, spread out the maps, county records, the old newsletters. "They claim a 2021 boundary revision," she said. "Did you get notice?" "Never. County has no record either." "That revision is invalid. No vote, no owner consent. Their claim is built on sand." She typed up a cease and desist, sent copies to the board, the sheriff, and the local newspaper's legal desk. But the real gold, Susan found a memo from 1996. My parcel was deliberately excluded from the HOA after a private payment to the original HOA president. Someone wanted my land kept out paid to make it happen. No name but the spring on my property had also been flagged as a rare mineral-rich freshwater source. Suddenly, it all made sense. The expansion, the pressure, the protest was about water, not dues. That night, I got an email from a burner account. "You really think you can keep this up alone?" "Drone photo attached," Susan replied. "Perfect. That's cyberstalking. We'll add it to the suit." She dug deeper: old plats, voting records, transcripts. We found a forged map Linda filed after a board vote not to expand. Her handwriting. Fraud plain and simple. One HOA board member, Mark Reynolds, the guy who shouted at the protest, owned a landscaping company with HOA contracts all tied to the new trail project. They planned to run it through my spring. Susan's eyes flashed. "We're suing for damages, defamation, harassment, fraud." I just looked out at my bees and nodded. Good. They made it personal. Court was surreal, new carpet, stale ambition. Linda with her 2 lawyers looking like hedge fund vultures. Susan handled it like a pro. My deed, the plat maps, the 1996 memo, the old secretary's affidavit, the fraudulent map, and proof my land never got annexed, never consented, never paid for any HOA utility. The judge, a no-nonsense woman, listened, compared maps side by side, saw right through Linda's show. "I've seen enough," she said. The HOA's case dismissed. My land, my water reaffirmed. The judge even warned the HOA further harassment will be actionable. Linda didn't look up when the gavel fell, but I could tell this wasn't the end. 2 days later, my deliveries started going missing. Box dumped in a ditch, freeloader scrawled in red. Amazon marked my stuff delivered. USPS marked it refused. The delivery guy shrugged. "You pissed off the wrong people." On the neighborhood forum, my side of the story got me banned. Someone changed my Wi-Fi name to Mooch House. Flyers trash blocking my road, anonymous complaints about my bees, whispers in town, traitor they called me. Susan said document everything, so I did. Photos, videos, logs. She filed another suit, defamation, harassment, obstruction. But it wasn't just the law I had to fight, it was the loneliness. People stopped waving. At the diner, folks left booths empty near mine. At the feed store, people glared. One guy muttered traitor. I realized it wasn't just a land grab, it was war by rumor, by isolation. I didn't hit rock bottom until I saw a drone outside my window at 2:00 a.m. watching me. That was it. I grabbed my shotgun, stepped out onto the porch, and let the barrel do the talking. The drone zipped away. The message was clear. I was done being quiet. The next morning, Susan filed a massive lawsuit personally naming Linda Barrett and Mark Reynolds plus the HOA for everything from harassment to public record falsification. Subpoenaed the HOA's finances. Turns out Reynolds' landscaping company made a fortune off contracts for infrastructure that never got built, including a trail right through my spring. Internal emails showed they planned to sell the water to a bottling company with easements for reluctant owners, me by name. A twist former board member, Mary Ann Bishop, came forward with minutes from a closed-door meeting, Linda proposing to annex my land for the water, saying it would boost property values by 15%. The lawsuit became local news. Spring war in the Rockies. Susan laid out the case maps, forgeries, emails, even a 3 a.m. voicemail. "You're not safe up there forever." Linda's defense, bureaucratic confusion. The jury took 3 hours guilty on all counts. Linda had to pay $275,000 in damages. The HOA was fined and put under audit. Mark Reynolds skipped town. The water company dropped their offer, and my land, well, the county put a permanent covenant on it. Could never be included in any HOA without my signed, notarized consent. I didn't feel like I had won. Not right away. People still stared. Conversation stopped when I walked in. But the inner circle of the HOA crumbled. Most resigned state regulators started sniffing around the accounts, and Linda disappeared from public life. Tom stopped by looking tired and just said, "You win." I nodded, but we both knew it wasn't really about winning. I just went back to tending the bees, walking Cisco brewing mead. The storm passed, the woods went still. One afternoon, I carved a sign from maple, sealed it, and put it at the end of my drive, right where the mob once stood. Free to all, so long as you respect what's not yours. Below it, a little box of honey jars. Maybe the mountain can give something back to the valley if the valley learns a little respect. And you know what? I still wonder if justice really means standing alone, or if sometimes you've got to risk being the villain just to keep what's yours. So what do you think? Where's the line between community and control? Tell me your story. Let's hear what justice means to you.